Hello, welcome to Sephra's Pop Culture Channel. My name is Sephra, and I am now giving you a little recap overview of the latest episode of American Horror Story. It did show a few days ago, but I have been busy and haven't been able to have a chance to really record my thoughts about it till today. So the story opened with a Mary Kay pink car driving down the street, and to me that was a reference back to Freak Show. You might recall the Tupperware lady parties and how the Lobster Boy would pleasure them all at these things, and then Dandy came along and destroyed them all. So we had some of that. And then we have the ghosts all doing their thing. We have um we have the Brooke and what's her name? Donna. Brooke and Donna are on the run. They're on their way up to the camp to go to the big concert to take their, well, Brooke wants to take revenge on everyone, and Donna's going too. And they run into a journalist who recognizes them, even though Brooke is supposed to be dead and all that. But this journalist does recognize them. So ultimately, through the episode, the journalist gets taken. They go up to the camp, and then Brooke is showing the journalist around, and the journalist gets killed, of course. Yeah. And then we have more stuff with more serial killers. Now we got Mr. No Thumbs, which is that lovely tribute to Eric Roberts. And um, we have those hitchhikers coming along, the hitchhiker ghost guy, and anyway, so the serial killers are all battling each other. We got Mr. Jingles against Richard Ramirez. Richard Ramirez, is killing a few more people, and I finally clued in. Where are we? We're practically at the end of the show now, and we already knew Richard Ramirez. Played by Zach Villa, is a huge Billy Idol fan, at least in this show, and he always has like this sneer, the character Richard Ramirez. It's very sexy, smoldering kind of sneer, and I finally clued in that duh, it's the Billy Idol sneer, and he's emulating his idol, much like Kylo Ren tries to emulate Darth Vader. Ramirez, I guess, has a bit of that Billy Idol thing happening, and then so he's yeah, and there's some funny bits. I don't remember if it was this week or last week where, you know, the one of the roadies is like, "Oh, who you with?" And he's like holds up his hand with the satanic blood carved into his hand. "Oh, cool, man," and gives him a trinket, a guitar pick from the concert. But anyway, so it's just sort of like things going along, people dying, people doing this. Mr. Jingles is trying to be good, but not. I can't even figure out, like, I'm confused if Mr. Jingles is alive or dead. Um, I know Ramirez brought him back in another episode because I think he was dead. Then they did the Satan thing, and then they left and went on a killing spree. Then Jingles turned in Ramirez. Um, so I'm not clear, but now Jingles is dead again. He killed himself because he's trying to protect his son. But Ramirez is probably going to go after his son, who's like in Alaska or something now. As usual, even though they're trying to keep it tighter this season, it's still a lot going on, and a couple of things are kind of falling apart, or I'm not understanding. And then, of course, we have our usual every couple of episodes, all the way through American Horror Story, this series, not just this season. Someone has to say, "I am a monster." Now, this time it's Montana talking about how she likes to kill people. We had Cody Fern say it a couple weeks ago, his character, when he was cooking in the oven, and he's a pretty boy trying to be a movie star, and then he got cooked in the oven and then became hideous, and he's, "I'm a monster," but now he seems to, as a ghost, has healed up nicely. And then we have Trevor, the guy with the ginormous you know what, who's not a ghost yet. He's still a human. He seems to be in love with Montana, and then so they're talking about maybe turning him so he can be there with her forever as a ghost. Um, Things like that happening. Then we have what is kind of cool was at the end of the episode we had Mr. Jingles on the little rowboat. And I saw it coming a mile away, but he's on the little rowboat, and this is symbolic of how his little brother died back when they were children, and then something pulls him into the water, much like many horror movies we've seen. I can't remember which one did it first, if it was Halloween or Friday the 13th, or one of the summer camp ones, right? They end with, um, I know I'm losing my horror cred, aren't I? They pull him into the water, and then we wake up to a beautiful dream or vision or ghostly afterlife or heaven, wherever we are, much like what's happened to Fiona in another episode, another season. Jessica Lange's character several times has gone to like a heaven type place. Her characters end up in heaven doing things. So this time, Mr. Jingles ends up with his mom, and then we see his little brothers there too, and they're reunited having a picnic. And then mom and the little brother Bobby, um, Bobby is still like 6 years old or however old he was when he died. Mom is still beautiful and pretty, how she was when she died. And then Mr. Jingles is Mr. Jingles. He's like 40 or however old he is. I don't know how old he is. I guess if I looked at the timelines, I would know. Uh, so then he gets to be kind of like the child that he didn't get to be. So that we kind of end with this very nice, picturesque picnic of the family reunited in the afterlife. Whether this will stay this way, it's American Horror Story, who knows? This may or may not be the last we see of that particular family. We only have one episode to go, and I've heard rumors, I won't say it out loud, who's coming on this week. If you've seen the trailers and stuff, you know, but I won't spoil it for the rest of you, but I'm totally excited about who's going to be on this week, and I can't wait to see how all this wraps up. This season hasn't been my favorite. It just it felt a little kind of like paint by numbers. There's too damn many serial killers, but it wouldn't be American Horror Story if they didn't throw in the kitchen sink. But at least there's only kind of like one timeline, like, or I mean, plot line. There weren't like 1,000 threads to follow. I mean, there were a lot of character stories to follow, but not like in something like, say, Freak Show, where you have like Dandy's whole story, you have the Siamese twins' whole story. Each freak had a story, each person had a story. Jessica Lange had this whole big story, like, and then trying to thread all the stories together, and then it just falls apart because, oh yeah, and Krusty the Clown, who, of course, that same actor is now playing Mr. Jingles. Um, where we don't have all those super massive complications. So at least we know the threads are going to be tied up nicely because they already are getting tied up. So we won't be left hanging like, wow, wonder whatever happened to that thing that happened in episode 4, because some of the seasons we're still doing that. Like that was never resolved. Is it ever going to happen? Yeah. Anyway, so I hope you've been enjoying American Horror Story 1984. It didn't go the direction I thought it was. I thought they'd do more 1984 stuff, but hey, we still have an episode left to throw that in, even though now we're in like 1990 or something. Anyways, have a fantastic day. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts, and don't forget to share and care. Bye.